Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, yo, dreaming. Don't give. I had to. I
Why do you
apologize.
want
It
to
was.
ruin it? Why do you want to ruin it all the
It was. Listen, you say ruin it, but I think even fans of
No,
One
we do.
Piece
We love it.
like this. Maybe ironically, but
No, it will both. Ironically and just genuinely love it. It's
okay.
it's probably more One Piece than it has any right to be. The rest of that dub was not
Uh,
very great, but
you know what? For the record, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about One Piece, and for the
yeah,
record,
I
we're talking about.
finally got HC to sit down and watch all 1080 some odd episodes of One Piece. Let's go. We've been
If
planning
you
this
think
since the Berkcast's beginning.
if you think he's correct, you're wrong. But okay, for the record, might as well start with this. We are talking mostly about the. I think it was released in the end of August, like last day
Yes.
of August. So
Yes.
we are talking about the Netflix live action version today. But I guess let's might as well start where we stand with One Piece. Wolf, what is your experience?
Oh, man, I've practically grown up with this show, right?
Mm.
Because One Piece started coming out in the '90s, and I found it then when it started releasing way back on. If people remember, like the Saturday morning cartoons, and then Toonami stuff like that, and I've just grown up with it since then. And it's
So,
just,
did you grow up with the Four Kids dub for the
oh
record?
yeah, yeah, Saturday morning cartoons. I remember the Four Kids dub. That was my
No,
first introduction to One Piece.
yeah, no, because
I did
if
not
there's
realize
one
it was
thing,
bad back then when I was young.
well, a fun fact for you about the Four Kids version: the guy who voiced Usopp was Sonic the Hedgehog in Sonic X.
Oh, cool.
That's so. For the record, if it's not obvious, I am not the One Piece fan. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I hate it or something. God forbid. I just haven't seen it. I know the general plot. I know character names. I know that the Four Kids dub is absolutely atrocious
I mean, Four Kids dub
and
of
like
most
that
anything
and
they
that
dubbed.
yeah, like most Four Kids works, here and there. And
Here, here,
then
miss.
I also know that Fan Animation eventually picked up the show, and they are now dubbing it well and everything.
Been released
I know the
weekly
general
ever
idea, but
since.
yeah, but I know the general idea, but I haven't seen a single full episode of the anime. And again, it's not that I have anything against
I
it,
mean, no,
but
that's
where the
fair.
fuck do I start?
Well, you started episode one.
Yeah, no,
Well,
started episode
actually, no.
one. Great.
If you want to now, since you've seen live action, you can kind of start at episode 50.
It doesn't really cut it when there are over 1,000 episodes, but
I
and for
mean,
so for the record, it's not that I have anything against the anime or something. It's just that there's a lot to catch up on, and I can barely catch up on shows that are. I can barely catch up on like 10 shows, which would amount up to the total episodes of One Piece.
I
Okay,
will.
so just
Oh, no,
one
fair.
show.
Fair, fair,
My
right.
ADHD can't take it, people.
I, I feel One Piece isn't a bad ADHD show. I think it can actually hold ADHD people decently well to a degree
But
until
but
you
a
get to certain
thousand
parts of it.
episode plus.
Well, let me say, I will say to that, I fully get it. I fully understand. One Piece has been going for over 20 years, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to get into, whether it's the manga or the show. I get it. I will say, not everyone, but a lot of people who I've heard say, oh man, where do I start with this? Where do I get into it? It's like, just go watch episode one. They're like, oh, that's so much. Just go watch episode one and give it a shot. And
Mm,
then they come back, it's like, all right, I'm a couple hundred episodes deep. What the hell happened? You're welcome. It's One Piece.
I
Enjoy the ride.
and for the record, it's not to say that I'll never give it a shot. If anything,
No, fair, fair.
like after watching this, I am interested in seeing how they did some things, but I don't ever expect me to actually complete it. I don't think I'll ever manage to.
But
But
yeah,
that's
it
just
is. It's
a
always
personal need.
funny. Oh no, fair, fair, absolutely. It's
With
just always
with
funny
that
to
being
me
said,
That's the like general, almost a lot of fans I've asked, not all of them, but a lot of fans I have asked who got into One Piece much later on. It's almost always the where do I start? It's so long, there's so much of it, and then they start watching it at someone's, suggestion, and they finally just sit down and start watching a couple episodes, and it's always, almost always the story comes back as what the hell happened? I'm a couple hundred episodes deep. I didn't think I'd be in this deep. What happened? I
You know
love that
something?
about One Piece.
If whenever the anime ends, they release a Blu-ray set with all the episodes, all the movies.
Oh god,
I am
there's
buying.
multiple Blu-rays.
I'm buying it and I'm watching it. You know what? That's my one condition.
Hey, I
But
mean,
with,
we're
with that
getting
being
close
said,
to the end, supposedly.
supposedly, yeah. But
Like we can
with
actually
that being
say that
said,
now, though.
I did actually tell a friend of mine that you know something. If the live action show is gonna get canceled before the anime finishes, I will laugh my ass off.
I hope not. I
No,
hope
like
not.
I want to cancel. I mean, at least finished. Like
Oh no, 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 fair, fair.
if this show finishes before the anime, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. It's gonna be
That would
hilarious.
be weird and wild, but
Yeah, but and
yeah.
on that note, I will say that anything I may know of the original, like if I talk about stuff that was changed, stuff that was done or something, my fiance did read some One Piece, and she was kind enough to tell me. She hasn't seen this new show, but I did relay to her some information, and she was nice enough to tell me this is the same, this is a bit different.
Mhm.
If I remember all the notes, then I I'm not entirely sure if I remember it all, but for the
I can
record,
help.
if I say that I like something that's different, or if I say that I don't like something that's the same, please understand that I'm only talking about this show as a show. I'm not. I
No,
don't
fair.
have. I am not criticizing the source material, manga, anime, whatever. I'm not criticizing those. It's
I
just
mean,
sometimes things just go
jumping
in a certain way.
jumping right into that, right? Like, what is your opinion of this? Like, what is your general opinion of this show as a
Yeah,
show, not a
so
fan?
now to actually talk about the Netflix adaptation, which we came here for, as someone who has no experience with the manga anime and just other things, I was surprised by how much I loved the show. This was a great time.
I'm just nodding. Yes, yes. As One Piece
Honestly.
too. No, for me, I have to say, right, if that's your opinion, I would agree with it wholeheartedly. I think this is just a fun show.
Hmm.
But speaking as a One Piece fan, right, as someone who really loves
Yeah.
One Piece and is fairly into it, I would say I think this is a good show for fans as well. There is only one thing I would personally knock put a notch against the show is this isn't great. I wish you would have done what the anime slash manga did instead of what you chose to do for this. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It works for what you did,
Well,
but it's not as great.
you'll
But
have
that's a
to tell
spoiler thing. Well,
me.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you'll
But
tell me when we get to spoilers. But I
otherwise,
was
consistently, yeah.
surprised. Yeah, like because listen, this is a show that by all accounts I should probably not like. Each episode can go up to an hour, maybe even more. It's
Which
based on
surprised me, I will admit. I did not expect them to be that long.
yeah, but at the same time, episodes just went by like that. I didn't even notice that episodes were over. I'm like, wait, that's it? So that
I
that
mean,
was
that's welcome to the anime experience in a nutshell as well.
no, but no, but that's the thing. Yeah, an anime episode is like 22 episodes. Yeah, done. On to the next one. But with the hour-long episodes, even of shows I love, I'm surprised how much. Like sometimes I could have been like, okay, we get it, let's move on. But it didn't really happen with this one. I
No,
felt
they
like I felt like they paced their time really well. They said everything they had to say, and it didn't over. And episodes didn't really overstay their welcome. I was genuinely surprised, and then also considering it's an anime turned into live action, and how many good of those do we have?
I
Last
like
time,
to feel like
zero.
more
So,
than one of them is good, but like good in the sense of so bad it's good. So yeah, they're all none of them have been great yet. None of them have even been good yet. They've all
Well,
been
when
terrible.
you,
This is the first. I think this is the
I think
first
in
good
terms
one.
of, I want to say that in terms of the competition that comes to mind is Dragon Ball Evolution. The less said, the better. And
And
the
even that
other
one was
two,
bad.
and I think the other two that people will compare this to because it's also on Netflix is the Death Note movie and the Cowboy Bebop show,
Well, there was
which
also Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I stand by was good, but it
was it
it
live
was
action though?
yeah, it was there was a Full Metal Alchemist live action
I had no idea.
Netflix
Interesting.
adaptation. The Cowboy Bebop one, that was bad. I still enjoyed it, had fun with it, but it was bad. The Full
A
Metal Alchemist
friend
Brother
showed me a
one
clip.
was
A friend
bad,
showed me a
but I
clip,
still
and
had
even
fun
though
with
I
it.
again haven't seen Cowboy Bebop the original, but a friend showed me a clip of the of the Netflix adaptation. I'm like, I am not a fan. I don't even know the show, and I feel offended for people who
Yeah,
like it.
Cowboy Bebop was bad, bad.
Hmm.
Brotherhood, there were some actors in there that I feel like, man, they were trying their damnedest to like make this shit work. Like the actor for Roy, I believe the actor for Roy Mustang for the FMAB
Hmm.
live action, that dude was killing it. I felt right, but a lot of the rest of the show was, and I mean, a lot of the actors were also doing pretty good, but just the show in general was kind of meh. I get it if people don't like it. I understand why they don't like it, but I still had fun with it. But this one's good. Like,
Yeah, this
there's
was
some
good,
little
and
ropiness
I
here or there, but it's
like
overall good.
listen when you are told take an anime about a kid who wants to be a pirate and can stretch his limbs out and make it live action. It's like, I, for the record, I've seen shows that try to do less crazy than that and failed
I
miserably.
mean, it's yeah,
And
it's anime
and
fights in live action, anime One Piece fights in live
and,
action.
and not
That's a
only
big
that,
ask.
yeah, but not only that, I felt like, again, even though I haven't seen the original, it felt that in terms of writing and the acting and directing, one thing that just struck me watching this show is love and passion. You know how usually when people are being interviewed or doing adaptations, it's like, oh yeah, we love the original, we want to pay respect to it, but also kind of give it new life and stuff. But you can tell it's people, it's people that are reading enough of cue cards of like, this is what they want to say, this is how we get the fans trust. Just say that, say that, say that.
Mm-hmm.
We are, but here I haven't seen any interviews, and I don't need to. I just felt the love for the source material in this show. There was something genuine about every performance, every scene, every bit of dialogue. There was a sense that people saw, either read the manga or saw the anime, and they just and they love it. They want to transfer what they love into this new iteration. I felt that throughout the entire show. No scene was devoted for it. It was so rare, but it was also weirdly, it was. It's kind of sad that I have to say it was weird, but it felt weirdly passionate and weirdly genuine. Everything, the performances, the clothing, the plot points, everything just felt like there was a genuine attempt and genuine love for what they were doing. And to this extent, I'm also happy that they just dress them as they are in the anime, as the character designs, and like, yeah, people are gonna fly off across the room. Yeah, people are gonna be super strong. We don't care if it's live action and needs to be extra realistic. We need to make it feel realistic, not make it real and take away from the fun of it. And I am very happy with how they embraced it. And among all of that, I also heard that the creator of the manga was heavily involved in the show,
Yes,
and good on them
Ichiro
for actually listening.
Ichiro Oda is the creator of One Piece, and I believe he sent them like an open letter saying, "Hey, there's some stuff here that I'm just really dissatisfied with, things like that." And like, all right, we'll reshoot some stuff. Like,
Yeah,
awesome, cool. And then he's like,
yeah, it's
I
like,
don't know about the person, all these lines you've written down for Luffy, and then he went and listened to the actor, what is his name?
um I think I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, but Inaki Goody
Yeah, I'm
Godoy.
not. Yeah, I would probably butcher it too, but yeah, you are correct.
Yeah,
Inaki Cody.
I'm sorry if I mispronounce. If you're
Hmm.
listening to this by any chance and you mispronounce, if I mispronounce it, I deeply
But
apologize.
Oda
But
was like, "No, I'm impressed with that. That's great. That's Luffy." And I don't disagree. Like it's a little goofy, but I mean, it's One Piece. It's meant to be
then
goofy.
again, from what I've seen, Luffy is kind of like whenever I see him in
Like
like
honestly,
artwork and stuff, he seems like this kind of person who's just happy-go-lucky shonen anime protagonist, I
honestly,
suppose.
honestly, it is really fascinating. Like I think the guy deserves a lot of credit because Luffy is supposed to be a little bit insane and,
Yeah,
kind of dumb, but also weirdly smart at times and kind of
yeah.
on the point. And it's like, how do you pull that off in a character who just kind of
That's
gets it, but is
something
also
because,
stupid and insane, but also goofy?
and
Like,
again, this is
they
what I
do it
mean. That
well.
Yeah, that's what I mean with genuine, because whatever this actor has to say, like how many times can you say I'm gonna be king of the pirates and all of that stuff, but it feels like he gets this character, he gets where he's coming from, if you told me that this actor read every volume of the manga and watched every episode a few times and the movies and whatever else, I would totally believe you. I
Hmm.
believe that he knows what he's talking about, and that applies to every one of these actors. All of them just feel like they love what they're doing. They wanted to say, it's like they wanted to say those lines since they were kids.
Did you have any particular favorite? I'm curious. Out
Well,
of the main
I
crew?
of the main crew. Honestly, this is a good sign, but also that I can't that it's hard to pick a favorite.
Oh, fair.
Because I want to say Luffy because I guess because if you know my type in characters, you can probably tell that he's like my type. That he's very that he's very energetic and he's very loyal and he's always up there for adventure. But he's also serious. He's also he might be ridiculous and the people don't take him seriously, but he still pushes forward. And like if you piss him off, you don't want to be near him. But I think I someone that I was surprised by how much I liked him is Zoro.
Hmm. I'm not surprised. Zoro's a fun one.
Because
McKenyu is the person who plays him. Very good.
well, yeah, and for the record, I know that I kind of got from the clips or outworkers that Zoro is supposed to be quote unquote the emo of the group,
Not,
like
I mean, yes, but also not really. Like in the anime, he's kind of not. He's almost as dumb as
no,
Luffy at
but no,
times.
because well, for the record, when I say the emo quote unquote, I mean like that is the tough one, like
Yeah.
the Vegeta
Oh
or
yeah,
the
absolutely.
Shadow,
He is the
if you want
Vegeta
to
of the
go,
group,
if you
100%.
yeah. But the thing is that unlike the Vegeta, I feel I get where he's coming from, and it comes from again. There's this genuine place of why he's like this, where he's coming from, and I
Hmm.
will say his relationship with not relation friendship with Luffy. Let's go with that. He without getting into spoilers yet, he and Luffy's connection in the show I found really nice and really fascinating, and honestly even a bit refreshing when you see these two characters together. These two types of characters together, I should say. There's something really good. There's again, and I also enjoyed Nami. She was cool.
Hmm.
Usopp is the one that I think, from what I know, is the most different of the main crew.
What do you mean by
And
different? Because honestly, I would say Usopp's the most similar. Sanji, I'd say, is the one who's changed up some of them,
yeah,
changed up more.
that's something because when I was watching this, my fiance kept telling me, "I love Sanji. When Sanji? Tell me when you get to Sanji. I need to know about Sanji." And then when I tell her what there is of Sanji, she's like, "That's a bit different."
But it does work. And it's
Oh, it
probably for
works.
the better because Sanji's
And
very much like a womanizer in the anime, which is fine. It works for that
I
show. There's
heard,
nothing wrong with it.
I heard that the show toned it down,
Yeah,
and
and I think it works. I think it's good for the character, especially considering they're bringing it to a more Western audience. Because it's also
yeah.
interesting, right? Because you don't have many Western characters like Luffy either, but it does
Hmm.
work.
Yeah.
which is
Hmm.
surprising. Like
And
they did really
actually,
well.
another character I ended up really liking is Kobe.
Mhm. I'm not surprised.
Kobe,
You know,
I enjoyed Kobe a lot,
would you have
and
liked me to spoil the anime for you?
you know what? Maybe let's just jump into spoilers first and
Sure,
then talk about it.
sure. I'll wait.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
So,
100%. All these actors did very well. Like
yeah, and
there was
also
no one who felt very off or
I
just
think also
bad.
I think who's the guy who was the commander of the vice admiral of
Garp,
um
Luffy's
Garp,
grandpa.
yeah. Yeah, like yeah, okay. So this is something that apparently, like, I asked my fiance, "What kind is he Luffy's grandpa? Is he Luffy's grandpa in the manga?" And she's like, "That's the first time I'm hearing about it."
Well, yes, he is. It doesn't get introduced until pretty far in. I believe we don't find out
Yeah.
about Luffy's granddad in the anime until I want to say in the 300 episode range. Maybe
Well,
later.
you heard it here first. They shoved 300 episodes of the anime into 8 episodes of this show. There you
So
go.
it is. So definitely 100%. If you want to know something that is completely changed in the live action show to the anime, you don't see Garp this soon. You don't know shit about Garp this soon.
But I will say though that again, that's such an easy character to hate, and not oh, he wants to capture Luffy. Of course, you want, like, it's just this typical I am a leader of an army or something that wants to take down the main character and his crew because blah blah blah. But there's something about him, and it's not just the connection to Luffy. It's again something about the performance, something about the way he treats the cadets, everything about it. It
Oh,
it
Garp's one of the few
feels,
good things about the Marines, man.
yeah, like that's again. We'll talk. You know what? Let's just get to
Well,
spoilers. I
I
think
mean,
we talked enough non spoilers.
I will say this, right? Like I at watching it, I was a little bit worried about Garp because this is very different for his character from what we know of him from the anime to a
All
degree.
right.
And as I watched the show, I was like, what are they doing with Garp here? I'm not sure I like this antagonistic thing they're doing with Garp. He's doing great as the actor and the character, but I'm not sure I like this. And then as we go through the season and you get to the end, I'm like, okay, no, this is Garp. I'm sold. Never mind. I was
Mm-hmm.
wrong. They
Okay.
pulled it back for me. So yeah, like,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I will get into more of the spoilers as to why I feel that way a little bit later. But yeah, like,
So
no complaints about any
spoilers
of the
for
characters here
so
and the
spoilers
actors and
for
actresses.
the live action One Piece, and I guess also manga anime,
A little bit.
kinda
I mean,
in
it's what we're going to be
gonna
spoiling is over 20 years old again. So
yeah. So
it,
I guess it
for
depends,
that part.
but for like, if you don't want spoilers to the Netflix show, this is your chance to close the
Hmm.
video, go watch it, come back later. Though I think, considering we are doing this a bit late, there's a good chance you already saw this. So
If you
either
haven't,
way,
you should.
we gave our warning. Gum gum spoilers in three, two, one.
Ooh.
I don't care. I improvised that. That was smart. That was a good improvisation. I won't hear otherwise. Screw you. Anyway, spoilers from this point on. If you're still here, that means you probably see the show or you don't care. So you want to say about Gulp?
Yeah, like I was, so Garp is very much a main character in the live action show. And as I just mentioned, you don't see him in the anime or the manga, I believe, until much later on, from
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for the anime, it's very much later on.
yeah.
So
Let's say if my fiance didn't get to that part, to the point she had to Google it, I guess it's a bit late. I don't.
again,
I'm not. I think she told me she stopped at around volume 30 ish. I'm not sure.
I feel like Garp's after that. I will be clear. I'm not like it's been a long time for the manga and a long time for the anime for this far back, right? Again, you're talking about episode 1 and some of the first chapters and volumes of the manga that came out back in the 90s, maybe like back in the mid to early to late 90s in that area somewhere. It's been a long time, so forgive me if I get some stuff wrong here, but Garb is definitely not in the beginning area of the anime or the manga. So he is in the show. And I was a little bit worried when they started making him a little bit more antagonistic, right? Because that's not really the role they have him in the anime or the manga at all. He very much comes in one episode, says, "What's up, Luffy?" and punches Luffy, and everybody's like, "Oh, how did you manage to hit Luffy and hurt him? Because he's made of rubber." And Garp's like, "That's a punch of love. I'm allowed to do that. It's allowed to hurt." Stupid bullshit.
Well,
That's just fun. And then he's like, "I'm just here to check in on you, tell you I love you," and then head off. And Luffy's like, "All right, bye, granddad," and that's it. And
wow.
then Garp gets a call. It's like, "Hey, Luffy's crew declared war on the world government. You have to take him in." And Garp's like, "All right, fine." And then he just starts eating cannonballs, and I mean, and I mean yeeting cannonballs at their ship as they're trying to leave. And then he turns
That
into the cannonball Gatling gun as he yeets cannonballs at their ship. So I was very happy when Garp at least yeeted one cannonball in the live action show. I was so disappointed when it's like,
yeah, that
"Oh,
was.
Garp shooting at their ship. Let's go. I want to see my man yeeting cannonballs." And they're
But I
shooting
will
the
say this was
cannons, and I'm
actually
like,
one of
"Oh,
my favorite parts that Luffy just outright absorbs them and sends
mm-hmm.
them back. And again, this is what I mean with he doesn't afraid to be to stay true to the anime because every it's like even though he stretches, this is not realistic. We can't do
Listen,
that. We
in
can't
the
do this shit. So I'm glad that they actually did. It's like
mm-hmm.
yeah, this is what fans want to see. I'm gonna assume this is what makes Luffy cool. Let him do the stuff that makes him cool.
Yeah, no, fair, absolutely. I mean, they didn't do a ton of it, but I think that comes down to budget, right? Yeah, like there's only so much
Let's
special
say
effects you can afford to do,
yeah,
right?
let's say if there's one, it's a nitpick, but and maybe it's because I'm as a filmmaker who studied this stuff, I can tell. But sometimes in the action scenes, you can tell when they are cutting to. You can tell what the cuts are. Where here it's the actor, and here it's the CG double that's gonna stretch and stuff. But they transitioned relatively well,
No,
and they
the CG did really good.
yeah, and also, if anything, in the final fight, like when Luffy destroys you know,
Arlong
the
Park.
sanctuary, yeah, that's that entire scene. I was like, okay, you know what? Luffy's fucking cool. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
fan of Luffy. I'm in.
Listen,
Wherever this kid goes, I'm with him.
like I think, like it's really funny that you say that, right? Because the anime, I think a lot of anime fans and a lot of the manga fans, but especially anime, I think a lot of anime fans would agree up until like again this 8 episode season for the live action show covers about the first I want to say 1 to 45 to 50, maybe a little bit after, about 1 to 50 I would say, of the anime. And up until that point, I think a lot of people who get into One Piece are like, "All right, there's some stuff here I'm liking, I'm a little interested, I'll keep up with a little bit longer." And then you get to the Arlong Park arc, and
Mhm.
that's the moment where I think everyone says, "All right, I was in before, but now I'm in. This is it. This
Mhm.
is my show. I'm here for the long haul. Let's go."
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot that they managed to do that again here for you as well in the live action.
Yes. On that note, I mentioned before, then might as well talk about it. That there's the point where Zoro's mission in this show is basically he wants to become the world's greatest swordsman because he
Mhm.
promised a longtime friend who died that it's gonna be either him or hell. And she died, and he welds one of her swords. This
Mhm.
was a funny part. I like when he holds the third sword in his mouth, and Luffy's like, "So that's where it goes."
Yep.
And that I found that funny.
I was so glad they
And
did that. It's great. It's so
mhm.
stupid, completely impractical. Still love it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
well, and again, consider like if I saw a person with three swords and he held the third one, it's like, oh, I would probably mention it most likely. And then so he wants to be the greatest swordsman, and he knows which swordsman he has to take down, and he challenges him to a duel. And Nami warns him that he's gonna die.
Yes, Dracula Mihawk.
Yeah, and but Luffy tells them, if this is what you want to do, I support you. And they have this fight, right?
I
And
think
Zoro,
sorry to interrupt you, but I think the fight with
yeah,
Mihawk was probably the one where they put the probably the second most budget in, right, with Mihawk. the
It was a
Zoro
great
and Mihawk
fight.
fight, because that was really well done, especially because Mihawk has to use that little tiny dagger and fend
Which
off
is
Zoro's.
which listen, it was so ridiculous, but it's
But
also like
it works.
that's the thing. It works because it's so ridiculous. But then he says, "I'm not gonna use the big sword on you. You are not a threat to me."
Yeah,
And it's
it's
so ridiculous. That's what I mean. It's so ridiculous, but it's like fuck the fact that it's supposed to be live action and this is not realistic. Let us see cool stuff and seeing a guy with this tiny ass sword I can use as a toothpick. It taking on a guy with three swords. That's fucking badass. I love it.
and then again, right? Like Zoro manages to impress him enough. He's like, all right, let's take out the big one, then let's go. One big attack. And then it's like, all right, that's our boy. That's Zoro. And then him turning
But
around like, nah, swordsmen don't take wounds on the back. That's dishonorable. And it's like, all right, that's our man. Let's go. We're down. Let's
yeah,
go, Zoro.
and that's the thing. I love this fight for Zoro because you can see how honorable he is and how and then but he actually loses this fight. He is in
Mhm.
really bad condition after this fight. And when they end up healing him, when he comes back, he actually tells Luffy, after this, if I am forever with you, I'm with you for I am loyal to you forever. You want to find One Piece, I am there with you. Whatever, it's either we find One Piece or that
I
gets to
try.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this, but you have so many of those rivalries of like the happy-go-lucky hero that wants the challenge and just this brooding, I am the best, no one can touch me. I mentioned Goku and Vegeta, and yes, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Sonic and Shadow has this problem too,
Mhm.
but I like this take that what he that the tough guy earns the happy-go-lucky guy's trust, and you can see that they are genuine friends, and that there are even often times where Luffy's goofiness gets Zoro to laugh. It's like, what is this? This is a full-fledged character. He's not a stereotype. What is
Mhm.
going on?
I mean, it's great, right? Because especially after the Arlong Park arc, right?
Hmm.
All of the Straw Hats are pretty much this is a group that is ride or die. Whatever
Yeah,
nonsense Luffy
and
gets them into, they're like, all right,
mhm.
we're in it. Let's go.
and
He's
that's
led
another
the
thing
way.
that
We just make
that
do.
yeah, and like when the show starts, you can tell that like Luffy is like, I am the crew, and they're like, we are not your crew. Not even it doesn't even come close. Like Nami outright uses him. Zoro is
Mhm.
just like, I guess I'm here. I don't know. And Usopp and Sanji are basically like, hey, you guys are cool. We're gonna tag along, I guess. So, but by the end, I felt when like they set up that sail and they do this thing with the food where they say what they're gonna do. I felt I felt like holy shit. I believe their friendship. I want to go on more adventures with these guys.
Mhm.
They are this is a good camaraderie. Nothing about us feel. How do you do that show? What is going on?
Welcome to One Piece. I told you,
I,
man. You're
I,
in
I
now.
guess I guess I'm in. I don't know. Maybe
It might take
uh,
us a little bit
the
longer
the,
to
fia-
get you into the anime and the manga, but you're in
the
now.
fiance did say that there are probably some of the anime movies that I could see now.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
some of the anime movies they're set apart enough that you can probably watch them, and they're quite fun, quite enjoyable if you ever want to go and just dip your toes into the One Piece
Uh,
waters.
so we might do that one day. I'll keep
Fair,
you posted when I do.
fair, fair. But yeah, like I think that's one of the strengths of One Piece, right? It's so fun and so enjoyable, and
Yeah.
it revels in itself a lot, in that fun and that enjoyment. It never
Mm.
takes itself too seriously, but it does know when to, like, all right, pull back on the zaniness, pull back on the fun. Let's have some serious moments, like with
Yeah.
a lot of the characters' backstories, like with Nami's backstory in this show.
Hmm.
E-
Like H
And
backstory, honestly, like
oh yeah,
Sanji's
all of them.
backstory, I was shocked like that he ended up on the island with a guy
Hmm.
who essentially wanted to kill him. And then he says, "Why didn't you thank?" And he said that the guy ate his own food in order to help to keep Sanjay. It's like, fuck,
I think that
fuck.
was slightly changed from the anime. I don't know if he ate his own
I
foot
don't
in the
care. Like
anime,
this, it
but it
left an
works.
impact.
Oh no, because like that's one of the things that I think. All right, that was a really good change because in the anime he lost his leg trying to save Sanji, right,
Mhm.
from drowning. Like
Yeah.
something happened where he had to cut his leg off, because he got caught underwater and they were both going to drown. So he saved Sanji from drowning, and they both managed to survive. But then he still just gave all Sanji the food, and everything happened the same. It's just he didn't eat his leg. Here, I think
Mhm.
that's a great change that he ended up cutting off his own leg to eat it so he wouldn't
Yeah.
starve, just so Sanji could have all the food. I think that's a great
And
change, right?
and
And
like
works really
again,
well.
even though you can tell that like the chef that he works for, you can tell that he doesn't really take Sanji seriously. Like he doesn't really let him cook his own thing, and but then there's the point where Sanji decides to live with Luffy's crew, and he has this goodbye to the chef, and it felt like a family having to part ways. It felt like a person saying goodbye to his dad before he goes out to the real world. There's I said this time and time again, so excuse me if I repeat myself. It felt real. It felt like how people would talk and act. Characters are not just stereotypes or this is the funny one, this is the tough one, this is the sexual harassing one. No, they are all characters. They have and I think another part where Kobe gives Luffy his wanted poster by the end, and it's supposed to be funny because oh my god, this guy actually wants to be wanted. What the hell? And but they have this very genuine goodbye, and you can tell that Kobe is still very grateful for Luffy for helping get him off that fat bitch's ship at the beginning.
Kobe's going to be a lot of fun because I'm curious what they'll do moving forward as well. Because in the anime, when they defeat the axe hand Morgan, the guy with the axe hand, right, at the Marine base
Yeah.
very early on, that's the
Mhm.
last time you see Kobe. After that, that's it. You
Oh,
don't see Kobe again in the anime for a long time.
well then. But
It's a
again, I
couple hundred, but
guess,
I like, again, I do like that they made the Marines more of an avid thing right now, so you can kind of see a bit more, a lot more of
and
the corruption of the
I
Marines and of the little bit of good that the Marines is about with Garp and Kobe, right? And
and
Helmeppo too.
I was about to mention too that we have, we with the Marines that they play it up a lot that Kobe is like is starting to become somewhat of like Garp's favorite student, kinda
Hmm.
ish. A- And at the same time, there are moments where Kobe outright fucks up, either if he lies about knowing Luffy, or at the end where he outright refuses to arrest Luffy and his crew. And the and Kobe is willing to take responsibility for those, but Garp tells him, something. Being a Marine is more about just following orders. It's also sticking to your gut, and for that I appreciate you. And he promises to train Kobe and the other guy.
Helmeppo, the
Yeah.
Agtan's son.
Mhm. He promises to train them both personally, which is like holy shit. This is interesting that there's not just oh, I'm an evil leader. I'm gonna be. It's a guy with morals at the end of the day, and his
I did.
final.
I loved the like, hey, Garp and Luffy have a final fight, and Garp's actually just been testing Luffy this
I
entire
I was
time.
just about to say. I was
I
just about to say
laughed
though
my
that
ass off. It's
fight,
like, all right, show, you got it. You got
like
Garp. That's our man.
no, because honestly, when this happened, I was initially just a bit like, oh, for the love of God, really? I was having such a good time, and you throw this bullshit at me. Suddenly, this what? But it suddenly started clicking, and especially it sets Gulp as as such an interesting threat. Not only because he's the main character's grandpa, but we saw what Luffy is capable of, and Gulp is just destroying him.
Oh yeah. At this point in the story, yeah, Garp should absolutely be destroying Luffy. There's so
I'm
much that
sure.
like because there's a lot of stuff that they're kind of giving glimpses of. It seems like for how hard Garp is punching, for how hard Garp is punching, and a few other things of
Yeah.
certain abilities that will get introduced much later on in the anime, but they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
like not introduce them now, which is fair.
All
So
right.
like there's reasons why Garp is as strong as he is and is at the level he is at, and that Luffy can't
Oh,
beat
I'm
him just
sure.
yet. Luffy will get to that level eventually, but he's not there yet, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's great because it's very much a Garp thing to do of, oh no, and then like, hey, I was just doing all this to test you. I wanted to make sure you're ready to be a pirate. And because Garp don't give a shit, because in the anime, Garp doesn't give a shit that Luffy's a pirate, right? He's not
Mm-hmm.
happy about it. He doesn't like it. He wished Luffy would have been a Marine, but he's like, you know what?
Yeah, but
You're
it's
doing what you
like,
want to do. I respect it.
mhm, yeah. And speaking of,
And
I
it's the
guess
same here.
fun.
I love that. Like, why'd you have to go so hard, Granddad? He's like, it wouldn't have been fun otherwise. I'm like, that's Garp.
Yeah.
That's our man right there. You did it. All right, you won me back over, show. I only have one
Yeah.
complaint now, not two. I was a little bit worried about Garp, but no longer am I worried. You did good.
Hmm. And another character that I liked is Shanks,
Yep.
because I know that also like in the manga anime, he's kind of like a father figure to Luffy. He's his inspiration,
That we see
and
once every like 5 year, 10, 20 years.
oh, okay. It's nice that they still know how to draw him after such a long time.
Like, Shanks is one of those characters of he comes in, does his one thing, and he's like, all right, I'm out to go get milk and cigarettes. I'll be back in 5 years, maybe more. You're like,
And
okay, bye, Dad.
what I like though is that in the first half, let's say, I think that they establish what kind of an influence he has on Luffy,
Hmm.
and we and until there's the point where he just goes and never comes back, and it's assumed the walls, it's assumed that he's dead, and suddenly by the end, he you know the he sees Luffy's wanted poster, and it's not like that he's jealous or something. He's actually ordering his crew to drink. He's happy. He's happy for this kid.
Hmm.
It was it was so wholesome. I couldn't contain it. It was amazing.
There's one thing that I thought they were missing from the Shanks introduction, right? When he
All
goes
right.
and they get in a fight with those mountain bandits, right? That
Mm-hmm.
kidnap Luffy and everything. There's a
Yeah.
scene of like, one of the mountain bandits pulling out a gun and pointing it at Shanks and everything, and Shanks is like, all right, and like there's this line, oh, can I remember it? It goes along the line something like, hey, are you ready to kill? And they're all like, what? And like, once you pull out a weapon, are you ready to kill? And all of a sudden, the guy's shot in the back of the head by, the same guy that shot um, the bandit in the live action show, right? The one who's eating the
Well,
meat and everything.
yikes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they go hard with Shanks. They're like, I loved that scene because it's just like, it very much, very quickly shows you we don't give a fuck. We're willing to do whatever we need to do to save our boy. And it goes so well. And I kind of dislike that they just did this thing of Shanks pointing at someone and then they die. It's kind of like it works, but I feel like you could have just taken what the anime did and it would have been a lot better because
Yeah.
it goes way harder. I thought for Shanks for Shanks's character, but it's not a big deal. It's like a small change. It means nothing. It still
I
works.
suppose.
And I
Mm-hmm.
also because it works really well because Luffy and Zoro do a thing similar to that to Usopp later on. Because Usopp, when we meet
Yeah.
Usopp in the anime, he does a thing of like, all right, tries to threaten them and run them off because they're pirates, and he's trying to pretend to be a pirate and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do the same thing to Usopp, like, hey, if you're willing to pull out a weapon, you better be ready to die, right? And they just scare him to half to death
Fair enough.
just to mess with him. But no, like it's just fun stuff like that. It's like, I wish it was there, but it's not hurt by it missing, right?
Yeah.
I think, since I'm on this subject for a brief bit, the one thing that I think actually hurt the show, the live action show,
Mm-hmm.
that I think was
Yeah.
genuinely just way better in the anime, and I wish they would have kept it the same. This is like the one thing, and it's with Nami's backstory and
Okay.
getting to Arlong Park with Nami. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Nami goes to dig up all the money to pay for the village's release, right?
Yeah.
So in the anime, her sister and the entire village knew Nami was lying. They knew from
Mm.
moment one that hey, Nami's been doing all this terrible shit, working for Arlong, the guy who killed her mom, just so she can buy our freedom, right? So she can buy our freedom, and so we won't have to deal with Arlong or any of his nonsense ever again. And they all
Mm-hmm.
knew, but they never told Nami they knew. They just helped Nami keep the lie. They just said, they pretended to hate her and treat her badly because we don't want Nami to know that we know, right? I think that
Mm-hmm.
makes what Nami goes through so much more powerful, right? Because when they find out, oh, all of Nami's gold was stolen and everything, so now, everything she did was for nothing. They're like, all right, we're going to go kick Arlong's ass. It'll probably kill us, but we're going to do it anyways because we're probably going to die to Arlong anyways because we can't pay anything. So let's fucking go. And it just makes it so much more powerful to find out, yeah, Nami, we knew you were lying. We did it for you, because everything you were going through pales in
Maybe
comparison to
it's
us living
because
this horrible life, trying to, pretending to live this life for you and everything, right? I don't know. I like it in the anime more. It feels more powerful than what it does in the show. But to her credit, right, the actress for the live action show, I think, does the scene with Nami yelling out Arlong and stabbing her arm. She still does it great. Like, if you ever get a chance, if
yeah,
there's one thing you ever watch from the anime, watch that same scene. Like, there's plenty of shortcuts of it on YouTube you can find just about everywhere.
fair enough.
Because
I
the
am
actress
curious
from the
because
Japanese anime for the dub for the sub for the Japanese is
yeah,
amazing in that scene. Like, she
mhm.
goes hard. It's
I'll
great. And
I'll take your
the
word for it because
actress here, she lives up to it.
I'm
Emily Rudd,
interested.
she does great.
I'm interested because maybe it's because I'm hearing it from you and not seeing it firsthand, but not sure how to necessarily feel about that. Oh, we knew you were lying, but
Well, they build
I'll
up a
have
lot of
to.
backstory for it and everything too, right? Because it's anime, right? You're gonna get those kind of like, hey, before we get to the big fight, here's a couple of backstory episodes for Nami, so we can build up everything.
Fair
It's done
enough.
really well. Like the anime paces itself really well in the earlier stuff, I think,
Mhm.
compared to later
All
One
right.
Piece.
So okay, fair enough. I'll have to check it out then whenever
It's
I
just,
have the
it's
time.
just, it's different. I think it's fine what they do here. I think again, I could be working off of nostalgia. I liked it better. This is the one thing I would say I think the anime did this scene better, did this moment better. Like, this is the one thing that I would say about the live action, right?
Mhm.
In that regard. Everything else the live
Mhm.
action does, I think it does it just as well as the original show did. Maybe even better
Mhm.
because you get there so much quicker.
I guess that depends because I'm pretty sure there are some anime purists who are like, the original is perfect and maybe they are not fan, which is completely fine for the record.
I mean,
I'm not saying this is
it's
bad
fair if you're not a
either.
fan of the live action, right? As a One
Mhm.
Piece fan, though, as someone who really enjoys the show, and the manga and everything. Again, I don't read the manga as much, we'll admit, but the show especially. Love the show. I think if you're into One Piece, I'll say it again, man. The live action, like you're not gonna go wrong. You're not gonna be disappointed by this. This feels like One Piece. Like, to me,
Mhm.
this gives off the exact same feelings and vibes as One Piece. Like, there
Mhm.
are moments where I'm here going, all right, that's our boy. Let's fucking go in the live action show, and it's like, that's the same shit I would do for the anime at times. It's like the same feelings. It captures it. It does so well. Genuinely shocked by that. It's a low bar that they have to cross, but I think they crossed it with flying colors.
All right, sounds cool. And on that note, if I may say, one of my favorite villains was Buggy the Clown.
I thought that might be one of your favorites.
Okay,
Buggy's
let me
great
ask you why. Let me ask why.
because, all right, so he's a little changed up from what he was in the anime, but I figured Buggy might be your favorite because he just kind of exudes that certain type of energy I think you like from characters a lot of the times, right?
So one, you're right. Two, I just think it, I guess fitting for a clown, but it is hilarious that he thinks he's so big that he's the shit. But if you literally trap any of his body parts in a box, that's it. He's done.
Yep.
He's pathetic.
Yep.
It's like it's one of those weaknesses that's so easy to it's so easy to beat him, but he still managed to have this threatening aura to him, and also he looks like a demon version of Rayman. So that's a plus. So that's a plus on my book. The way he can
Well,
just
I think you've
split
already
his.
gotten the demon version of Rayman, right?
Where this is not a demon version. There's a difference between a demon version and an adult version. I ask you.
Fair, fair, fair enough.
So you know
I
what?
will say, right?
I'll take anything that reminds me of my limbless boy.
I think you'll love Buggy going forward too, depending on how far forward they go with
Like
the live action
because I also
show.
just love because I also just love his over the topness, that the way he speaks, the way he acts, and
Hmm.
especially when he's just ahead and he has go, yeah, biz do this. There's just something, again, in an anime, you just draw the head of the body. There you go. But I like that the live action version actually does it doesn't really, it's just his head. It's
Hmm.
just the head. It's so much funnier when I assume it's when it's live action, because you can probably tell the effort that goes into it, but they do it anyway because they know it helps the comedic potential. And I'm also interested because we see in the end where he's teaming up with that female
Alvida.
captain
Yep.
that Luffy beat at the first episode.
Listen,
So
you you
I want to
wouldn't
see
think
what
it.
they are up to. Mhm.
Buggy remains a Buggy is the epitome of failing upward. You will
Uh-huh.
see that so much where you can't think it gets better. There's no way he gets
Mhm.
better, but it continues to come back and surprise you time and time again just how far he makes it when he genuinely clearly shouldn't. But it works for him and it's just lovely to see him. It's just great.
And
So I I am not surprised at all that Buggy is your favorite villain. 100%
and
not shocked.
the other thing that I enjoyed is by the end when you see Luffy's wanted poster, and Usopp just sees his hat, his head on the side of the poster, and it's like, oh, the wanted poster. Like, is
Mhm.
he supposed to be Mike Wazowski?
A little bit, yeah, until much later
That's the
on.
first thing. That's the first thing. That's the first thing I saw.
A little bit, you're not wrong, until much later on when we get, God Usopp.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, but I
Usopp
did
has one
actually.
of the
Speaking of Usopp,
one of the bigger bounties.
I like the one that there's one of the male people is actually is actually chasing him down, and he's like, oh, I'm immune to fire. It's like, but alcohol isn't, and he shoots the bottle of alcohol, and bam, he explodes, and then it's like, oh, I took out so many. You have no idea. that,
No,
I
I'm really glad
I
how they're
don't.
doing Usopp here because in the anime, I will admit it tends to get a little bit overbearing how much they focus on Usopp's cowardliness and his line and everything, especially the cowardliness part. Here, I feel like so far they're reaching a good balance where Usopp feels fun, but you can still see the coward in him and the big liar and everything, right? So
Mhm.
it's like they're getting that really good balance with Usopp here. I feel, which is good
Yes,
because that's a
definitely.
character that can easily get annoying very quickly,
Yeah. And
and
again,
sometimes it
I
does in the
think
anime.
again from the clips I've seen of the Four Kids dub, I think that's what they were trying to do with him. I'm not entirely sure.
Mm.
Like, at least in terms of, again, I only know this because he happened to be voiced by the same guy who does Sonic. So I've seen compilation videos of this voice actor laughing, and Usopp is in one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
there's something about him that I kind of got, like, oh, is he like the clown of the group? Is he like the comic relief? So I, but I
I
enjoy
mean,
him
they're all the
here.
comic relief at times, to be honest, but
I guess so, but
that
for
role
different
changes.
reasons though.
True,
The,
true.
the, like, it's not because each one of them is funny for their own reason.
Fair, fair.
So I'm trying to think. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I think I basically covered
I
everything that we had.
do have a question for you, since we're getting
All right,
close to
hit
the
me.
end here. You
Hmm.
know, I have to ask, has this made you
Yes.
want to go out and watch the anime more?
I'm definitely more interested.
Fair.
I'll say already that, like, if maybe I'll tell you what. I know that it doesn't exist, but like if there was like a One Piece abridged that I could kind of catch up with,
There
I would have done it.
there are a few. I don't know how far along they are, but there are like some abridged versions out there that exist. I think it's
And on
hard
that
to
note,
do. From what I understand, it's kind of hard to do an abridged version for One Piece. From what I understand, just because it is so zany in and of itself, right?
mhm.
But it has been
But
done, and
like,
there are a few, definitely some good ones out there from what I understand. But I've not taken too much of like time to
and
check them out.
so I'll say again that with everything, because previously I would just tell you, oh fuck no, there's no way there's no way I'm doing this. But
But now you're
now
like,
I think maybe with
it's
like
on
the
the
occasional,
list, maybe.
like it's like maybe with the
Who knows?
occasional one of the occasional movies, or like maybe seeing a show out of an episode out of context here and there. I'm not saying never, but I will say I'm at least a fan of this version. I am a fan of this world. I'm a fan of these people, these characters. I'm in.
I mean, you genuinely might get the One Piece story in live action because we are getting a second season. They
Yeah,
have
we do
confirmed
know
that,
that we're getting.
which
Yeah, we are getting a second season, which
I'm
is
excited
great.
for because it means potentially bigger budgets and we get to see more stuff going forward. There are so many things about One Piece that I'm very curious to see how they will change because it's not going to work in a live action show. Like I look to Frankie as a character. I know you have no idea what I'm talking about, HC, right now, but viewers and knowers of One Piece, when I say Frankie as a character, looking at him in live action, like there's just no way they're not going to change him up, and I am so curious to see how they change him up. The same with Brooke as well, because some of the
Let's
shit these two characters do is it's one of those things of yeah, they're not gonna put that on a Western TV show because those characters are
mhm,
very weird. They're fun, but they're weird.
mhm.
It's great though.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, like, and there's many other things that I would love to see, and I think it's gonna be so fun to get to see it, and I hope this show continues on and goes well past season 2. Personally,
Mhm. And I hope to see more. I want to see where they go with this. I want to see where the story continues. And count me in. Whenever the second season is on, I'll watch it and we'll talk about it right here. And until then, maybe I'll manage to actually watch something from the anime, but don't count on it. I am saying this. We'll see. We'll see.
I recommend it.
Well, I'm sure you do, and like I'm sure that everyone else who recommends it knows what they're talking about. It's so daunting
I mean, I
just
will
thinking
say,
about it.
right, like One Piece for me is definitely one of those shows, like the anime, right? It is definitely one of those shows that I'll never cover it on here on the Outcast. Not
I
because
don't
it's
think
too
there's enough
long.
time.
I mean, yes. I mean, that would be, we had our Godzilla month. That would be One Piece year. Get ready
Oh
for
boy.
One Piece all year long. That's what we're doing this year. Not just that though.
Well,
It's just one of those shows.
might as well just do this like the Straw Hat cast at this point.
It's definitely one of those shows though that I think there are so many people who have talked about it, right? And talked about it in a sense that I cannot compare it all. That it's just one of those shows of if I ever chose to cover this for the Outcast, if I ever somehow managed to, if you managed to just go insane enough to where like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it, then I think that would be like, all right, that's my magnum opus. I'm done podcasting now. I retire.
Hello, welcome to this episode of the Outcast. Nice.
If HC ever manages to lose his mind enough to actually be willing to do that with me, or I'm able to get him at gunpoint enough to force him to do it, then
I think it will be either this or I convince you to play Sonic 06 to do a full fucking podcast covering everything about
one of those two. One of us goes
it.
crazy enough, or one of us manages to find the other,
Somehow,
to hold the other at
somehow,
gunpoint.
yeah. Though to be honest, I'll never do this to you. But
No, but it's funny. But yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things of I'll probably never cover it on here. So this is the only way I'm going to cover One Piece on this show. And that's all right. I
yeah.
think this is if this is your introduction into One Piece, this is fine. This is good even.
Hmm.
Like you could not do worse.
Yeah, I like this show, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Agreed.
so I guess the ship is sailed for One Piece. Now the thing is, which ship is gonna get there first, the anime or the live action one?
I assume the anime, but you never know.
We'll see. Well, anything else to say?
No, just go watch One Piece. It is fun. It is enjoyable,
Yeah, go
and
watch it.
you'll have
Though
fun with it.
honestly, if you haven't seen it, then why are you doing in the spoiler
Live
section? I know I
action
said it.
or anime, it's fun. It's enjoyable. You can't.
Hmm.
You won't waste your time.
Hmm. Yeah. So, anything else to add?
No, that's it. I'm good.
So
Let's
that's it
go.
for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts about One Piece, both the original and this live action show? And should I actually go insane enough to watch everything? You can tell us all about it in the comment section
You
below
should.
on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until the next episode, I was HC,
I was Wolf.
and we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye bye.